Well, it's another great day. Happy, merry. Hopefully, you're having a great Christmas season, holiday season. Kwanzaa has started today, and we want to wish you a happy Kwanzaa if you celebrate that. Want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Want to wish you a happy Hanukkah for those who celebrated Hanukkah, and just a great and wonderful holiday season. Season's greetings. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. I want to welcome you to a special edition, a relaxed edition of the Jolly Good News Report on this beautiful day after Christmas 2020. And I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Well, we've had an incredible year, haven't we? Incredible or challenging, an incredibly challenging year. And I'm going to talk to you about some of the good news, though, that I've learned and I've found in this good year that will lift your spirit, in this bad or challenging year, that will lift your spirits. Now, what I want you to do before we get started in depth, I want you to start a watch party. Right now, start a watch party right where you are. And like this, share it, and subscribe to this so that you'll get the uptick information as it is released on social media. So again, start a watch party, like it, share it, and subscribe. I think it will be of value. I highly recommend you do that. Now, this is a beautiful day. Hope you and your family had a chance to enjoy yesterday, and that today you are excited about the possibilities for the new year. I know I am. I'm excited, and we're going to be working all week. We usually, during a regular time, regular year, without a pandemic, we make a decision. We make a trip to somewhere warm, Bahamas, southern Florida, or somewhere like that. And then on the eve before New Year's Eve, typically I'm in Bahamas, and my friend Michael V. Roberts at his castle, he has a castle right by the water, has a big party every eve before New Year's Eve, the eve before New Year's Eve. And we go every year, and it is always fabulous, incredible, wonderful. And we just have a great time. And a lot of celebrities come from all over America, as well as the Caribbean. The Prime Minister usually comes, and they have music and food and just a great time. So he has been a dear friend for many years and has invited me many times, and we've all gone, my wife, my son. But this year we're not going. He's not having his party. This year we're not going anywhere warm. We're staying right here in Washington, D.C., and it's supposed to be cold. You know, the rest of the holiday is going to be cold, but it's okay. It's okay because I'm here. We're still here. As Miss Seeley said in the movie The Color Purple, when her old mean, abusive husband, Mr. said, "You're nobody. Nobody would want you. You're black. You're ugly. You're not." And he called out all of these negatives, and she said, "You're right. I might be all those things." But she put her finger in his face and said, "But I'm still here." Every time I think of that, it fires me up. I'm still here. You're still here. We're still here. We're still here. That's a big deal. So I'm grateful for being here. I'm grateful for still being here and that you're here with us today. Now, I want to talk about some good news stories. First thing I want to tell you about is just some great news that we've been sharing every time we do one of these. I share some stories, and I've got a couple of great stories to share with you today that I think will be a blessing to you. Every year we look at what we can do to encourage people, to inspire people in new ways. And this year has been a landmark year in that mindset, because we started this Saturday morning, Happily Married. Saturday morning, the Jolly Good News Report. I get the two of them. We got so much going on. Jolly Good News Report, Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, here on jollygoodnews.org or Jolly Good News Facebook Live. And then we got Monday night, we got the Happily Married Monday with the Jollies on Facebook Live on Willie.Jolley. And that's become a very popular show. So we're excited about that, but we're also excited about the fact that the vaccine is here. That's big news in this time of this coronavirus. We've started all sorts of programs to try and help people to hold on. This show to give people some good news. My daily videos, if you're not on my daily videos, you should be. We send out every day just to help people to hold on, to be encouraged, to be inspired. We've started the daily messaging this year on radio, 1 minute radio syndicated. So a lot of new things have happened this year as a result of trying to respond to the pandemic. But we've also found that there is some good news this year. A couple of things I'm excited about is that we've seen people help each other in massive ways, encourage each other. And so the vaccine is here, people are helping each other more. And also, we know that this pandemic has made the global community be more aware of each other and how we have to work together. That what used to be something that would happen just here or just there, now it impacts everybody. And now we see that we are a global community. So my books, I want to share this with people, this message with people in China, South Africa, Nigeria, Australia, New Zealand, in Paris. We've got people from Paris and Greece and Caribbean who join us for the marriage show on Monday nights. And we're realizing that we're reaching people globally. So if you got friends around the world, share this with them. We want more and more people to be aware that we understand that it's not just us and everybody else, it's all of us. Amen. Now, last week we talked about the fact that the numbers keep going up. We are almost at 60 million people who have recovered from the virus. 60 million. Now, if you're waiting for me to tell you how many have been infected or how many died, you're not going to get that from me. I don't do that. I don't talk about it because this is good news. But I know that almost 60 million people have recovered and gone home to be with their families. We applaud that. We're excited about that. Also, I'm excited about the fact that there was some good news that actually came out of my organization this last few days. Last Saturday, my senior VP of marketing, Cheryl Reagan, graduated from college. Now you might say that's, well, what's big and what's so big about that? Well, Cheryl didn't go back to college till she was in her 40s. That's right. After she had raised her children, after she had come to work with us, and she went back to school part-time and just kept being diligent, just kept working. I'm so proud of her. She went from looking at others who were role models for her to her becoming a role model for many others. It was not easy. We know she struggled. She worked hard. She had to do classes and projects. And she would say, I'm studying this whole weekend or this evening and I've got a test. She was constantly and diligently working. And so what I want to share with you is that age should not be a determinant on your possibilities. Age should not be a determinant on your possibilities. Let me give you a quote. I love this quote. It's a quote by Dr. Stephen Covey, who said we should live not out of our imaginations. I mean, not out of our history, but out of our imaginations. We should live not out of our history, what happened in the past, where we were in the past, but out of our imaginations. And I kind of say that in my book, It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life. I talk about the fact that you should be able to dream and see things that others maybe don't quite see, that you should start to visit your imagination, that your mind is more than just something for what you're thinking right now. You must think outside the possibilities and what's possible for your future. your finances, your family, and the possibilities go on and on. As I travel around the country speaking, there is one point I cannot stress enough: is the importance of dreaming, the need to dream, and reviewing the lives of those who have made invaluable contributions to our society. One common element consistently comes up: they all understood the power of dreams, your imagination. From Martin Luther King Jr. to Walt Disney to Thomas Edison to Albert Einstein, the list goes on and on. Dreams are the seed for success. We want you to learn how to dream big dreams, think big thoughts, and then go out and start to make those dreams. And those dreams are a possibility. You must imagine. You must start to think about the fact that your mind cannot just be a movie projector that plays the movies from your past, but it could be a movie projector that projects and imagines the movies that you're going to make in the future. You decide what it's going to be. But if you can dream it, you can do it. I love that. The mind is a marvel. It can pre-play things that are going to happen in the future or replay things that happened in the past. We all know how to replay our past, but very few know how to pre-play the future and how to make those dreams come true. If you can learn to dream and then dare to go after that dream, you can do incredible things. Use your mind, all of your mind, all the time. Well, I'm grateful to Cheryl Reagan. I applaud her because she graduated with a BA in web design and technology, new technologies. I'm so proud of her. Let me tell you one other exciting good news that happened. On the same day, last Saturday, that she graduated in the morning. And my wife Dee and I were there. We were watching online and hollering and screaming as she graduated. That evening, she became a grandmother for the first time. Her daughter had a baby boy, and she had her first grandchild. What a day that happened, all on the same day. What good news. So we want to say there was good news that came out of 2020. With all the challenges, all the difficulties, all the tough, challenging times, there's some good news. And I want to focus on that good news. I want to talk for a few minutes of that lesson that we learned from Cheryl about not letting your age limit your possibilities. I recently had on my Sirius XM show, is now on my podcast. You can get it on my podcast. And I hope you all get access to my podcast and use it. It's lots of great content there, free. If you can listen to my show on Sirius XM, great. Today's show at 4 o'clock is going to be a great show, re-airing what we played last Saturday because of the holiday. And so it's how to set goals and how to look back at the last year and the lessons I learned from some of the people who were on my show. One of those people was Barbara Glantz. Barbara Glantz is a Hall of Fame speaker, sweet lady, just wonderful woman, who was a school teacher, and then she got married and had children, and she decided to stay home and take care of her children, to raise them until they were school age. Then she went back to work, and then she realized she wanted to do some more things. So she started working outside of the education industry and got a job with a consulting firm, and she did that for a year or two. And then at the age of 50, she left that consulting job and became a full-time speaker and started her speaking career at the age of 50. And now she's gone on to be a Hall of Fame recipient or inductee, to speak all over the globe, to be a very popular speaker, a best-selling author. She's written a book with a lot of the big-name speakers because she was willing to not let her age limit her possibility. And that's what I want to say to all of you. Cheryl, my VP of marketing, didn't let her age limit her going back to school. And she did it little by little. I love the quote by Denzel Washington. It said, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get the degree. If you got the degree, That's the only thing that really matters. I like that. And so what I'm going to say to you is, are you letting age stop you from achieving some of your goals and dreams? Are you letting your mindset keep you from trying when you could possibly do some things that you thought about, but then you talked yourself out of? I always like to say, how many of you have had at least one good idea in your life? Yeah. Now, how many of you have talked you out at least one good idea in your life? You're too old, you're too young, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough education. And we talk ourselves out of it because of some situation in our circumstance rather than in our possibilities. So I'm encouraging you to be like Cheryl if you have a possibility to go back to school. Now, many of you know who have followed me for years, for many years, it was just Willie Jolley. But now it's Dr. Willie Jolley. It's Dr. Willie Jolley because I went back to school. In my 50s, I went back to school. And it was hard. Yeah, it was hard, but it was worth it. And here's what I learned. So now let me tell you, I went back to get my doctorate. I've been talking about getting my doctorate for 30 years. I had wanted to get it, but then I started speaking. I started a business, got married, had children, and things just took over, circumstances. But then in 2012, I got the opportunity to speak at the $1 Million Roundtable. And it was going to be held that year. That's the highest level speaking or highest level event for $1 Million producers in the financial services and insurance industry. It's a big deal when a person is able to be a part of the $1 Million Roundtable, and it's a big thing for speakers to be able to speak for those people. And so this year they have them all over the world, and this year in 2012 is going to be in Anaheim, California. And I had to be there on a Sunday because I spoke on Monday and they wanted me there on a Sunday for a sound check and a tech check to make sure everything was right. So I'd have to go on a Saturday. So since I knew I was going to be there on a Saturday, I'd be there on a Sunday for my speech on a Monday. I called one of my friends who's a member of the Crystal Cathedral in Anaheim, California, because this was going to be in Anaheim. I was going to be at the Marriott. And I called him and said, Danny Cox, can I go to church with you? I know you go to the Crystal Cathedral. Can I go to church with you on that Sunday? He said, sure. It was about a month out. I said, I'd love to do that. He said, absolutely. He said, let me call the church and get some reservations because, you know, the Crystal Cathedral was a big tourist attraction and people would come to see this big crystal glass church. He called me back a little while later and said, look, interesting. When I called them, they asked me who my guest was going to be, who I needed seats for. And I said, Willie Jolley and his wife. And they said, Willie Jolley, the speaker? And he said, yes. And they said, do you think he would speak that Sunday? We're looking for somebody to replace Bobby Schuler because Bobby's going to be out of town that day. Can Willie speak? He said, I'll call him. So I said, of course I'll speak. So I spoke that Sunday. And when I finished, the president of the California Graduate School of Theology was there. And he came up to me and said, you were marvelous. That was one of the best speeches I've ever heard. I loved it. I would like to know if you'd be our graduation speaker next May. I said, sure. I speak at a lot of graduations. If I'm available, sure. He said, now I took the moment before coming up to see you to look online and see that you're not a cheap speaker. I said, this is true. He said, so what I'd like to do is offer you an honorary doctorate and a small honorarium if you would speak for our graduation. So a small honorarium, which is a small amount of money, a small payment, nowhere near your fee, but just a gratuity, and an honorary doctorate degree. And it was in that moment that I knew that was the Lord opening an opportunity for me. I said, let me ask you a question. I want to give you a counter offer. How about you pay me nothing and let me work for my degree? He said, what? Why would you want to do that? Because I've learned over the years, it's not the goal you hit when you hit a goal. It's not just the goal. It's what you become in the process of hitting the goal that really matters. He said, wow. He said, Sounds good to me. He said, send me your transcripts and any books that you might have written. I sent him my transcripts and my 4 books. Now, this is a 2-year program that I was entering in. I'm in my 50s, but I had made up my mind that when that opportunity came, I was going to move on it. So he said, it's a 2-year program, so you'll actually speak a year before you graduate. I said, whatever it takes, I'm willing to do that. He said, send me your transcripts from your undergrad and your graduate program and your books. I sent him my transcripts from both undergrad, American University, and graduate school, Wesley Theological Seminary, both in Washington, D.C. And I sent him my 4 books. It's important that I say those 4 books. He called me back a couple of weeks later and said, you know, your transcripts are great. Everything works out. But let me tell you about the 4 books. We read the 4 books. All your books, it only takes a minute to change your life. Setback, set up for a comeback, turn setbacks into greenbacks, an attitude of excellence. All your books that you've sent talk not just about success, but also about faith, your faith. And in the first year of the doctoral program and process, it is required that the student write 4 intensives about faith in action. And what we have decided, because of the power of these 4 books, that we're going to credit you the first year of the program. He said, now you still have to write 4 more papers and a 150-page dissertation, but you can graduate the same day you speak. I said, praise the Lord. So that's what I did. I went back and forth. I wrote those papers. It was hard. And I'll tell you one of the learning lessons. Wrote my first paper. And I sat down the night before the paper was due, and I sat at the computer and I wrote a paper. I thought it was a great paper. Fantastic. I handed it to the professor. I said, this is a good paper. You're going to like this. He said, I can't wait to read it. When I came in the next time for class, he said, Willie Jolley, you write great books. I read them all. It only takes a minute to change life. Setback, set up for a comeback, turn setbacks into greenbacks, attitude of excellence. Great. But this paper sucks. It stinks. It's terrible because you wrote it out of what you already know. I read your books. This is a synthesis of all the different books. You're not in school for what you already know. You're in school for what you need to learn. He said, you need to go to the library. You need to do research. You got to get your thinking to another level. It was hard, but it was right. He told the truth. The truth is sometimes difficult, but if it's the truth, it will set you free. And that's what it did. He told me the truth. It set me free. And I went to the library. And it was humbling. Let me tell you, it was very humbling. Humbling for a 50-plus-year-old man to sit in a library every night with 19 and 20 and 21-year-olds. But I did it. Because I wasn't going to let my age and my situation limit my possibilities. And I did it. And on May, I'm looking at my diploma now, May the 18th, 2013, I graduated from the California Graduate School of Theology with a doctorate in faith-driven achievement. And not only did I graduate that day, but I gave the commencement address in my own graduation. And let me tell you, I gave myself a good talking to. And so here's what I want to let you know. I had to overcome my self-limiting thoughts that maybe my age, maybe that's what's kept me from doing and being all I could be. No, I'm not going to let that stop me. And I want to applaud Cheryl for not letting it stop her from going back to school. And I want to challenge each one of you. Some of you got businesses you've been talking about starting, books you've been talking about writing, going back to school for degrees you've thought about, or for levels of learning. But you let your age stop you. And I want to say no. Don't let your age stop you. I want to encourage you to see age as just a number. In the book, I talk about how age doesn't stop the great ones. The great ones will not let their age limit them. They will let it push them. They will let it encourage them. And they will let it help them to grow to the next level. George Burns, some of you might remember that name. He was a comedian who signed a 10-year contract at Caesar's Palace at the age of 99. He said he would have signed a 20-year contract, but he didn't think they'd be in business. Or how about Clara Pella, who was known for many years on television for her "Where's the Beef" commercial with Wendy's, and how she did not let her age limit her. She started doing commercials in her 80s. Or how about the Delaney sisters, who wrote a book called Having Our Say when they were in their 90s. Many people said, "You're too old. Why are you writing that book? Wasting your time. Nobody's going to read it." But they said, "We're going to write it anyway." And they wrote a book called Having Our Say that became a bestseller, a New York Times bestseller, a Broadway play, a PBS special. They became millionaires after the age of 90. As a man thinketh, or a woman thinketh, so as they are. That's what Proverbs 23 says. And as you think, so shall you be. What you think in your heart. So Satchel Paige, he said, it doesn't really matter. He said, mind is about mind. Age is about mind over matter. Age is about mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. It does not matter if you don't mind. It does not matter. What are you going to do with the age? I want to just talk today about that, about age, and not letting you let your age stop you from achieving great success. I want you to get the book. It only takes a minute to change your life. And you can get that at winwithwillie.com. In fact, I encourage you to go to winwithwillie.com, sign up for the newsletter, everybody, so we can send you a free 1-minute message every day, Monday through Friday. I also encourage you to start this new year coming up with our goal setting, goal achieving super class. It's a dynamite program. I watched it again. We have recorded it. It's ready for you. If you'll go to wjspeaks.com/goals, wjspeaks.com/goals, you can get access, and we throw in almost $100 of goodies on top of your registration just to keep you fired up to make this upcoming year your best year ever. Well, we try and keep this to less than 30 minutes so you can get on with your life on this beautiful day. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and I pray that you bring in this new year safely, securely, healthily, wisely, so that you can make the most of 2021. It's comeback time. A setback that we've had this year is nothing but a setup for a greater comeback. It's comeback time. Get ready for the comeback. I'll see you soon. Thank you for your time. And remember, for sure, your best is yet to come. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. God bless you. Have a great day.